Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Vision Pros Live. I'm your host, Jackson Callum, founder of First Class Business. And I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Epiphany and Converge, both companies by Rick Meekins, fantastic friend of mine, helps businesses with more than 30 employees scale their infrastructure. And he would be considered a systems architect, if you will. Great proposal generator. I highly recommend checking out what Rick's up to. He also has a show called Off the Cuff, and some of our guests overlap. So if you see a certain guest that you want to learn more about and you're still not ready to reach out, that's a great way to go and check out what he's doing over there. Now, ablehealth.us as well, great program to check out for health purposes. If you're looking to maximize your health and see what Dr. Seth Yates is building, also feel free to reach out to Seth and see what types of other tools he has behind the scenes. You have VIP access, given that you know Vision Pros. So if you're dealing with any health struggles, I do recommend reaching out to Dr. Yates and seeing what he can do for you. Without further ado, we've got a guest coming on named Victor Garcia, and Victor has been in the I don't want to say the high ticket space, in the business growth space for more than 20 years. And so it's always fun to see what types of elements he gravitates towards as he's built out offers and come to know all the different recipes that exist in business and how you go about growth. We love to not only debate that, but explore that on this show and see what opportunities make the most sense for the visionaries who are following us along this journey and saying, okay, if you're in a position where you want to grow your business and grow your brand and grow your marketing and grow your sales, etc., then it's very important to get multiple opinions from different people of different backgrounds. So we're going to explore Victor's, see what his vision is, and we'll dive in deep with him. So Victor, welcome to Vision Pros. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, what's happening, brother? Pleasure to be here, man. Looking forward to the call. I like that opening too. How you're open to hearing other people's perspectives, even if it's going to be a debate.
It's huge, man. Healthy dialogue is all about that. So
Totally.
I'm high conflict, and so I love to use it.
High healthy conflict.
Yeah, bro. Exactly. That's it,
Yeah.
man. So one of the things that caught my attention right away is how you created your title for this particular show, Generate Sales for No Upfront Costs. I say we dive in deep there. What's your vision in terms of generating sales?
Yeah. So typically, when we work with folks, we start off on the back end. So we look for like the high level experts that are too busy. They don't have the capacity to do more stuff, and they're usually letting money fall through the cracks. We come in and just help generate more sales. So it's kind of like we're a non-managed profit center, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then from there, we usually use that as our way to assess people's offers in character to see if we want to work with them like long term to start doing like front end stuff, all the ads and funnels.
Awesome, man. Then let's dive in a little bit different angle than I normally do. We're going to dive in first with your personal vision. In 15 seconds, what's your vision?
Oh, my vision is I don't know, it kind of feels like this is overstated with people, but I like helping people and I like having fun. So ultimately doing something that brings fun into my life while impacting people, whether that's the coach we're helping scale or consultant or business. But as long as they also have a business that impacts others.
Nice. Okay. So impact's a big factor there. What's your definition of fun? What's fun to you?
Oh, so I don't believe in punching people in the face, but I do get a kick out of punching people in the face for fun because I love Muay Thai, MMA.
There you go.
I've been involved in that since I was like 17, so I can't get enough of it. It's also like my personal therapy. So
Yeah.
that's one. Hanging with my wife. I enjoy working out. Or reading a book, you know what I mean? Usually not a fiction book, but like a growth minded book. I think with like the hardcore entrepreneurs that are growth minded, we'd rather go to like a mastermind event versus a concert. So those are the things that I really find enjoyable. Something that's like impact helps me grow, and meeting new good quality folks. Definitely.
Nice. Purpose-driven fun. Is
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
hear. I get to be
Mhm.
the guy that just color commentates. So
Yeah.
I get to say things
Yeah, I like it.
concise, but I love the flavor that you're adding to it. So um, let's see here. So in terms of this show, this particular episode, who would you say should be listening in, Victor? Why should they listen to you? And what are they going to get out of today's show, do you think?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I think one is I'm a big proponent on collaboration. Like it's what we do. It's what I've always been good at. In finding those folks either that help me in a collaboration or with what we do, we collaborate with other high level folks to help them just generate more sales. Um, yeah, going out and finding other people that you could attach yourself to, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's a JV revenue share, what have you. Um, or even if you're just having personal issues, go find someone to talk to, you know what I mean, to help you. Because I think in this journey of being an entrepreneur, it's the Lone Ranger road path, right? That we're alone. And then a lot of times I think a pride comes into effect as well. Like, no, I got to make this happen. I got to be the one to grind. Where usually when we come in, it's like we want the expert just to focus on coaching, content, and maybe sometimes doing some phone calls, which we try not to even have them do that either. And we handle the rest, right? Because usually the coach or the consultant, that's what they're good at, is the coaching, the content, that kind of stuff.
Okay, interesting. So, and you've kind of outlined some of it. So this will be an easier question in 30 seconds. What's your vision for your clients beyond, what you already shared, which was you want your clients to be able to focus more on the coaching side of things. You want to be able to focus more on perhaps their higher level calling. What does that look like?
Yeah. First, we don't take on clients, so we don't even look at them like clients. It's like a collaboration as a partnership. Because I think once you have a client, then there's certain expectations. They look at you like an employee. But anyways, to answer the question, um, the vision ultimately is to get them out of the muck of doing the stuff that they shouldn't, and
There
let
you
the
go.
experts come in and scale what needs to be scaled, because they're wearing too many hats. And then it often, like usually when the person gets to like seven figures, that's when they start to resent their business because it's taking up all their time. Now they're dealing with employees or VAs or agencies, and they're wearing too many hats. So we come in and bring the hats so they could take certain ones off, right? And then get back to enjoying um, why they even got in this business in the first place.
Yeah, awesome. I've heard it recently. I hadn't heard the term before, but I've heard it called the seven figure desert recently. It gave me a good
Oh,
laugh.
that's a good one. Yeah, I got to
Yeah,
write that one down, right?
I
Yep.
thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh, I need to find the reference. I'll send it to you. The gentleman
Yeah,
who
it's a
said
good
it,
one.
I was like, that is a brilliant term. All right, so there's some wisdom behind what you're doing, of course. And as we get ready to dive into the sales processes, I'm going to preemptively lead you with this question: what powerful lesson can other visionaries learn from your personal experience? You've had some ups and downs.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're open about that in your bio. Go ahead and help us see what are we missing on our end. Any entrepreneurs who are maybe still at the 3 to 5 year mark, 5 to 10 year mark, what do they got to look forward to and watch out for?
Yeah, I think it's something that I touched on is you don't have to be the one that's the expert at all of it.
Mhm.
You could bring people on. And it's like, even if it's just like a salesperson, like give them a commission structure and pay them more, you know what I mean? Or find that maybe you kick butt at as a in marketing, but your operations, because that's usually a big one too. Once you start getting into seven figures, your operations suck. So bring in a chief operations officer, and like give them a little piece of equity to help you scale this sucker. You know what I mean? Um, and a big thing of what we talk about with like long-term collaborations that we do is like we're not interested in taking a piece of someone's pie. We're interested in building a whole new pie or multiple pies within their business. That's why we focus on like business experts or investments, to help create a lot more streams of revenue. And I'm going to try not to get off base here. Um, But the reason I'm saying that is because, hey, look, like, would you rather have 100% of seven figures or like 75 or 50% of eight figures plus and doing
Mhm.
less work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and once I started wrapping that concept around my head, like when I would start putting deals together, like I have big deals that I put together where I brought in other people that are better at certain things in marketing than I am to give up a huge percentage of it just because I don't want to deal with certain things. So collaboration, and don't get so caught up that your baby is just your own, because you can move, I think, a lot further faster with a good team.
Interesting. Good. Interesting in a super good way. Those who are listening, one thing that strikes me about Victor, just doing a little bit of analysis on the fly.
Recoloring.
Yeah, you know it. There's a posturing and a poise that exists in a sales environment, and it's very important to recognize that. And I'm going to say this just directly. Victor Wally, some of you are seeing him thinking, man, this guy comes across as a little bit standoffish or disinterested. There's an element of healthy, it's a healthy process for somebody who's in sales to be a little bit disengaged. That usually is a sign of somebody who isn't trying to convince an audience as much as just living authentically within their message, so that other people then become attracted to it. And granted, some salespeople that I've seen in the market take that a bit too far. And then, you take it a bit too far. Now you're really encroaching on pretentiousness, arrogance, so to speak. But I see a lot of purpose in the way that you deliver what you're delivering. And while your analogies also, you've heard people talk about having, do you want the whole grape, or do you want a slice of the watermelon?
Right.
You've kind of taken that to another level by talking about building a new pie. And it's interesting to hear these new, I don't know if they're called metaphors or similes or analogies.
Perspective.
I'm never very good at that.
Whatever, right?
Right.
Some
But the
kind of lingo.
perspective, you got some new coins in there that I'm going to be flipping. So
very cool. Yeah, and I'm taking that 7-figure desert too.
That's right. So let's talk about generating sales then with no upfront cost. Another big thing that Victor hit on that intrigues me is we live in a market that wants to claim abundance, but undercut providers. You talked about giving equity to operations gurus. You talked about increasing the commissions for the sales, rather than saying, oh, I'm just going to stick with the benchmark of the industry standard, or I'm going to take the industry benchmark. I'm going to pay you slightly less because our startup can't possibly pay more, right? There's all these limiting beliefs people have. So let's talk about the generating sales program. Who qualifies? You mentioned people of virtue. Who can get in on that action? Because first class business could use a sales team. So I'm curious for myself.
Yeah. So the first thing is I call them pedestal. So pedestal experts. We don't deal with pedestal experts, like the ones that think that they're above everyone, right? They treat VAs like a VA.
I got a new coin term for you on that one, right? VA stands for virtual abuse,
right?
Typically.
Yeah,
right?
and I don't even like saying VAs,
Not
but
okay.
it's a lingo, right?
It's disgusting how people treat them.
Yeah. Like I have some folks
experts.
I have some Philippines folks in the Philippines that help me. I treat them like family. You know what I mean? Anyways, so definitely not pedestal experts. Like really cool, down to earth people. Most folks that I've dealt with have been good. There's only been one that I've fired. That I wouldn't say here, but most people probably know who they are.
Out of how many are we talking? One fired out of how many?
No, just one. Yeah, I mean, others like if they're just someone that I wouldn't hang out with, not because like they're not a cool person, or it's like you just don't jive. Like there's not that synergy energy.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I'll stop working with those folks too, in a nice way, obviously. Yeah. So first, like they got to check the good humans box for us. You know what I mean? And then second is an offer that we believe in. So typically we'll work with folks that are like high 6 or 7 figures. They already have a proven offer. They're already doing well. It's not like we have to reinvent the wheel, create the offer, test all kinds of stuff. Like it's already done, and we just hop into their system, find things in the offer that are already working, and then just run with it. Every now and then, someone might not be in the 6-figure or high 6-figure mark, but the offer is killer. It's really different, and we really believe in it. And it's like, ooh, like that's easily scalable. But typically, it's folks that are in the high 6 to 7 figures, because first, how we like to start things is we always start with their assets first before we start investing in our own monies in running front end stuff, because we really come into it like investors. So if like the front end campaign's not working, it needs more money, we give it more money. So when we start the relationship, we want the person to have like either huge, and it doesn't have to be huge, but a good like Instagram following, let's say, a good email list of at least a couple thousand that maybe still has a little fresh blood coming into it from time to time. So we could go in there and test the offer with different messaging, different emails, different funnels before we take it to cold market, just so we're saving time and money. And then also it gives us a chance of working with the expert, like, hey, is this someone that we want to continue the relationship with? And then if it is, then we'll talk about doing stuff on the front end to really start scaling it. In other scenarios, sometimes we just stick with folks that just want us on the back end. Like this, they just want us to continue generating sales for them, because they know that they maybe suck at their emails, or you're probably familiar with, or at least the audience, sell by chat, right? And we'll do that either through emails or the Facebook group or text messages, whatever. And we handle everything. Like we create the marketing assets, we write the copy, the sales docs, the setting, the closing, and then expert gets paid and they pay us in most scenarios. So if we're doing front end, since that's our money's going,
talking about back end sales, correct?
Yeah, right.
So not back end fulfillment yet, but we're talking about
they do the fulfillment
sales process.
Okay. Yeah. So we just take them to close, and then the expert has to take them from there, fulfilling on everything. And that's another thing too, is knowing that the expert's going to be able to fulfill on their promise. Yeah. So that's something we want to learn as well. So we interview a lot of their current or past clients, see how they like working with them. And then obviously to get like the psychological marketing data and all that stuff too. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell, but everything starts off on the back end.
Nice. All right, cool, man. So these, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, what your motives are for all of this, but just to articulate it for those who are listening, why is that process important to you?
For me?
Yeah. You could do anything. You know, when you have a sales career, you go work for Google. You know, you could retire probably within a few years, but it sounds like, you know, this fun aspect, right? You're driven around purpose. So why does all this matter to you?
Yeah. So doing it the way I do it is, one, it's how I got started. So started off as a personal trainer, as a coach, then took things online, did well until I didn't, right? Tried launching some other offers that bombed. And that's how I ended up started working with other experts. Because in masterminds, because in mastermind, you're supposed to mastermind, right? And network and everything. And I ended up giving people tips, and then it would work. And then they'd come back and, can I hire you? And be like, no, but we could work on things together. And it just kind of took off from there. And it's just what I know well. Like I know coaching models, scaling models, how to build masterminds, how to build courses, how to turn your IP into properties that could be sold, right? And then all the funnels and marketing and all that stuff in with it. But another reason is going back to Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? All of a sudden you learn about this cash flow quadrant in real estate. Mm-hmm. So I was a big advocate about real estate back in the day. And then it was Frank Kern talked about assets, right? Like email assets, product assets. And it really flipped the script in my mind of like, dude, that's so true. And you don't got to go fix toilets or anything. So if I just work with other experts, and I'm not saying that every expert I work with that I need to get equity in their company. Most of them, we just come in the back end and we do rev share, but I'm really mainly looking for those experts that we could truly partner and get an equity position, because we're helping them scale it, and we're scaling now assets. And that's why we like business or investment, because also if we connect with a real estate guy, and we teach him how to get equity positions in helping other people do real estate deals, we could get equity positions in those too. And it's just everyone a big win-win. So to me, it's just playing that same rich dad, poor dad game at a higher level in the sandbox that I like to play in with those like coaches, consultants, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And tapping into the digital assets.
High margins,
So,
right?
yep, exactly. So those of you who have in-person assets, physical buildings, for instance, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with those assets too. And there just happens to be a digital playscape that has existed for the last 40 years or so. And now we have a lot of these digital assets streamlining to the point where it's, I don't want to say it's becoming cookie cutter, but you can take, you have components available that are reproducible at this point, and the rich will get richer. That's just the reality, not just in terms of compounding money in the bank, but also the digital assets are starting to compound upon themselves. Look at, sorry to steal the mic from you, but look at Facebook with Threads. Right now it's like, oh, hey, Twitter is doing well, and now that Elon Musk has proven a new strategy and path, bam, let's just duplicate it. And make sure that we're competing in the same. And overnight, they throw down an equal technology, so to speak. Like that's insane how fast the digital marketing world is going to turn the tides of wealth for people that weren't on the map. So.
Well, the cool thing too, and I don't even know much about this, but I would encourage anyone that's in the online space with IP of some sort, like coaches, consultants, I would really start learning about blockchain, NFTs, smart contracts, because these coins that you can start doing with community, because that's usually what it's all about, is community with coaches and consultants. It's mind blowing the stuff that you're going to be able to do. It's a rabbit hole that we shouldn't even get into, but it's all I got to say is just start educating yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I agree with you. It was a couple years
ago.
The
metaverse, all that stuff. It's going to take all that to a whole new level.
Yeah, you got to have somebody that like and trust really well to go down those rabbit holes, because there's certainly a lot of legal issues that can exist there and liabilities, but there's also a certain amount of wealth that exists. So I tend to gravitate towards somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk, who's very out there publicly, and like he's got the FCC watching him at this point. And so he's going to be a little bit more careful than other types of entities might be. But you don't want to be so careful that you're missing the opportunity, and that's why the masterminds matter. So
you would definitely want to be with the experts. One I would throw out is Real Vision. I can't remember what his name is, but they're at the top of the pinnacle too with the info that they throw out there. It's just all these components of the blockchain, smart contracts, tokens, NFTs that you could attach to your brand. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it really is. Well, awesome. And that's another good transition, is like visionaries. If you're new to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to focus on my sales, you do. And at the same time, like, prepare yourself for your future reality of once you've got your sales scaled out, once you've got your fulfillment under wraps and things are functioning well, you're going to need to do something with your time. And if you don't plan for what you're going to do at that time now, you're probably not going to use your time as well as you could then. And that's what Victor is getting at, is once you have those extra hours, then it becomes an awesome opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to dive into this scary world of NFT or of blockchain and start to really figure this out. I'm going to invest in myself and find the course or whatever that I want to take to master those subjects. So no, thank you for looking over the fence for it. Well, I'd like to get your assessment then on our business model. In fact, it's not something that I have shared too much with people, but you brought up something that was interesting. You said you want to find these offers that you believe in. Right. And I was thinking, okay, does he mean, like most sales reps mean, an offer that's easy to sell? Right. And then you said offers that are different, offers that are game changing. And I was like, oh, cool. Victor's got some depth to him. This is big. I want to propose to you a challenge that exists in the market from my perspective. And I want to see what your assessment is. You're welcome to call me wrong about it.
Okay.
This is where that healthy debate can come into
Right.
play. So I'm gonna flash it for a second and move gears. What I see in the market that's driving me mad for the sake of entrepreneurs everywhere is that 96% of businesses have been failing within 10 years for decades. Can we agree on that?
Yep.
Okay. Inc. does the research. You can look that up, guys, on smb.gov as well. It's not pretty. And I'm constantly telling entrepreneurs, like, listen, if there was a school that my kids were going to go to and the school had a success rate of 4%, I would homeschool. There's no chance my kids would go to that school. Yet here entrepreneurs are going to the schools of business that exist in the world and learning these half-baked formulas that are not wrong. It's
Yep.
not the formula I say it's wrong, but it's incomplete. And if you go to a math test with half a formula, you're going to fail every single time. Right? So to take this a step further, what I see happening in the market, traditionally speaking, prior to high ticket offers, and this still exists with those who are ignoring the digital world, businesses seek a traditional estimate. They say, okay, Victor, how much is it going to cost to work with you? What they're doing is they're putting their own financial stewardship in your hands, a consultant they don't know. And they're saying, you come up with the number that my business is supposed to provide, even though you don't know my finances. I think that's a big factor as to why so many businesses are failing, is they're putting their financial decisions in the hands of people who aren't bought into their visions.
Yeah.
The new version of that is these high ticket offers. Same thing. You can't have a customized offer. That's why it's called an offer.
Yeah.
So you got these high tickets that they're learning that, man, you can't close these anymore because I see you can't. There's 8 billion people to buy. The great ones will keep scaling.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people buying into courses. I won't name names, but there's some very famous courses out there. We get prospects all the time, 15, 20 prospects who've come in, said, oh, I really like so-and-so's course. And we're like, what'd you get out of it? And they're like, I didn't. Or there's people who feel like victims. They're mad about these offers. Well, the offer is not personalized. It's just another cookie cutter program that 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 500 is able to win with.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the flip side, the brands that we all know, even if we don't like them, we know them. There's 2 models that I see. There's a pay what you can model and a pay what you want model. Pay what you want is the one that's hitting billions and billions of dollars of growth. TikToks of the world, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, the Facebooks, freemium business model. Those who can't afford that and who didn't have the vision for it, did the pay what you can. And I would include Coca-Cola on the pay what you can model. I'll come back to away from the screen sharing real quick. So I can buy a Coca-Cola that's this big. I can buy one that's this big. I can buy it in a bottle. I can buy it in a bigger bottle. I can buy 12 at a time, 24 at a time. I can get it distributed to my restaurant so that I can have as much Coke flowing as possible to my customers. To me, that is, in essence, the pay what you can model. We offer it in the quantity that you want it and that you can afford to buy it in. And we've been able to scale just fine from there. All of those business models, to me, have followed that trend. And to me, those are the businesses that I know that have scaled really well and aren't being shut down. I'm going to pick on one other entity. Do you remember Traffic and Funnels?
Yes.
The Evan Welch corporation. I love Taylor Welch, by the way. I'm a really big fan. Chris Evans, I didn't know very much about, but I think they shut that business down last year. And a couple years before that, I bought into their sales mentor program. Great. I was happy. I got a lot out of it. Within 7 days, they wanted me to sell for them. Out of 18,000 sales reps, they wanted to recruit me. Hold on for a second. You got 18,000 people you've been trying to train for several years. And within 7 days, you want me to sell for you?
Yeah.
Like, how effective is that program? Then I start hearing people in the program. They're not getting the jobs. They're not following the program the way that it was intended to be followed. Great program. Excellent. But you got into the higher ticket stuff and everybody's angry about this experience. Again, I got a lot out of it. I was an entrepreneur, but most people there wasn't enough hand holding. There wasn't enough one-on-one attention. People were sold something that they didn't quite get out of it.
Yeah.
It was easy to sell, but I think there are a couple strong reasons why they got out when they did, and moved on from it. Again, I don't think they're evil. I think they saw a pivot that needed to happen and something they couldn't fulfill on.
Yeah, I
Therefore,
even think the pivot that they did is smart.
Yep. And so my question for you on that, what do you agree as far as the traditional estimate as being a problem? What are your thoughts on the offers and cookie cutter offers? Is there something I'm overlooking that
No.
I'm missing from the equation? I'd love to know your open thoughts on it.
Well, yeah, that's a deep conversation too, because I mean, if you start from the traditional side, so if we're focusing on people that do have high ticket offers and they hire an agency, most agencies suck, unfortunately, and it's
Fair.
what, that 80-20 rule, right? Unfortunately, in the agency world, it's more like 5% to 95%. And it's because of things like social media and people selling courses. So the person buys a course. Oh, I could be an agency person now. They want to sell a course. And now you go from the actual person knows how to do it. And then now, I don't know, 10, 20 versions later of people going through this course of another person's course of another person's course that all learned from this other person's course. It's all watered down, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one version of it. Another version is whenever you're typically exchanging money for a service, you're trying to get the most out of the service to pay the least of the money. The person that's delivering the service is trying to give the least amount of service for the most amount of money, right? So
Yeah.
so it's kind
Sounds
of
like a nasty equation.
right. So it's when you find those 5% in whatever service it is that really have their systems and everything dialed in to where they could produce a high quality service. Sometimes it might be a lot, maybe it's a low. Yeah, so there's so many factors with that one. And then with the offers, that's why we look for different, is there is so many high ticket offers out there. But most people do not know how to create an offer. And over the years, because of my failure, that's how I got to get good at creating offers or seeing offers, is because we had a fitness offer doing good. I went to a different type of men's coaching offer, totally bombed. And then, like how I said, I started meeting those other folks in the masterminds, and I started getting inside of a lot of offers. And it's usually easier to see inside of someone else's problem what's wrong versus your own. So it's like you're saying, oh, yeah, oh, dude, like this sucks. Like, no, you got to add this or you got to do this, right? So over the years of being in a lot of offers, it's taught me how to create offers or see the good offers. So ultimately, it's around really, it's filling that need. You know what I mean? It's like, and also, I mean, this is now hopping into like marketing speak or copy speak, is most people don't know how to talk about their offer. Some people will have great offers, but they don't know how to get into the psychology of the person, right? The movie that's going on in their head or the story, right? The pain, to speak to that pain. Because a lot of times, if you could speak to the pain and talk about the solution and the process, then it's usually an easy sale. Like, you don't have to have the most amazing offer, as long as you could articulate that person's problems and pains good enough. But yes, in the marketplace, most people do a course, get in a coaching program, and they're not taught well enough, or they don't follow directions good enough. Because I think it's a problem on both sides.
Right.
And they're more focused on, well, they want to be a coach. They don't want to be an offer person. They don't want to be a marketer. They don't want to do copywriting. They don't want to be a salesperson. And that's where, I don't know, either agency or someone like me, it's easy to find those folks to help, because they don't like doing any of that crap anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the offers then. We've got an irresistible offer formula, so to speak.
Okay.
And I would say that there's, for me, I'd say there's layers of offers, right? There's that first offer. For instance, if you're running an ad, you're not trying to sell the program as much as you're trying to create attractiveness for that first step to be taken.
And that's your first offer, right?
Yeah. Yes. at least come listen to us.
Yep.
Come hear this out. So, or download this, sign up, whatever.
Mhm.
What are some of the elements of fantastic offers that you look for, or you suggest people make sure part of their existing offer? Or do they have to start from scratch?
Oh, no, that's a good question just because, and this is even reverting back to when I was talking about the high ticket offers. Like another
Keep in mind,
problem.
guys, this is hard to do universally speaking. I'm
Yeah.
putting Victor in a universal bubble, and it's
Yeah.
much, much easier when you
It's
can say,
always the
okay,
depends.
here's a chiropractor who has 10 years of experience,
Yeah.
right? Versus here's a naturopath who has 2 years of experience, right? You have a whole lot more to work with as you formulate the offer. And every niche is different. So we're going to go
Yeah.
as universal as we can. If you have specific questions, and that's when it's a great time to decide, hey, I'm going to reach out to Victor or Jackson or whoever else and get some outside insight into what my how high quality is my offer or not, because that is, like Victor said, it's one of the greatest stumbling blocks that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it even starts with the avatar, right? Or whoever your perfect client is, and is there an audience for it, and is there a big audience for it? So starting there, and then giving them, I call it the expert curse. The experts know what they need to do, like as the coach, or the therapist, right? They got to do these certain things. But you're not writing a Facebook ad telling the person about how screwed up they are. Right? So if it's like the husband that sucks at being a husband for his marriage, you don't have an ad talking to, unless you're like Wake Up Warrior, right? But
Right.
so you don't have an ad that's belittling that person. You get into their story, their perspective, to draw them into the course of the program that they need. So you got to create the offer of what they want. And then inside that course or that high ticket program, you give them what they need. So for instance, we're working with someone right now who helps 8-figure businesses. And one of his things is a mindset shift. That's one of his big core tenets, right? But it's not something that we want to start with. It's not a big marketing thing for us. We want to hop into, because they're not sitting there thinking oh man, I got mindset problems. I can't scale this thing because I have mindset problems. They're thinking about what they see on their day to day. So without getting on a big tangent, is you got to be the architect of a good offer. And it really is just listening to what do your people want. Stop building them put in there what they need, but you need to build something that they want and that speaks their language and their pains.
Yeah.
That's why I think newer coaches usually have a low success rate, is because they're typically building things and talking in marketing speak and offers that they think that people need, especially in the personal development world, because they're not paying attention to the market and really building out what does this person need. What does this person really want? What's all their problems?
Huge. So
Yeah.
those of you who, I don't know, love or hate semantics, that's the game we're playing right now. And it's important is people do tend to gravitate towards what they want. And so when you can speak to that, it can help them settle down. It's like somebody who wants the pain to go away. They know they need surgery, but dang it, give me a couple of ibuprofen in the meanwhile, so that I can concentrate enough to assess what type of surgery I want. Right. So Dr. Marlise Hebner, I worked with her a couple of years ago, and she had a program called Rapid Anger Relief. And her target market was mommies of small children. And her messaging.
That's a big market.
Oh, yep. it was so on point too. You'd see these pictures of these stressed out moms with their kids, and the elements, everything that she talked about was so well constructed that on her first launch, her first day, she got 36 sales out of a very small advertising budget. And it had to do a lot with the reality of what you talk about, Victor, which was she was helping people focus on, oh man, I want reprieve from that. And I want the outcome, right, of being the mom that is kind of in control over my emotions. And in order to create that outcome, her course was providing the needed tools to be able to succeed in achieving that outcome. So yeah, working with whether it's one strategic consultant, or a team that also works with that strategic consultant, it's so important to take a step back and allow somebody else to assess, all right, how is this? It may feel good to you, but if it doesn't feel good to your market's not going to care.
100%.
So, awesome,
yeah, it's
man.
got to speak to the market.
Is there anything else that you want to dive into? Any questions you have for me before we wrap up?
Yeah, maybe share a little bit more about what you do actually. But the last thing I'll probably say is really try and step out of your own expert mind. If we're focused on experts right now that do masterminds, courses, and all that stuff, and constantly be stepping into the shoes of your client and what's going on in their world, and just speak from there. That right there could do dividends for your Facebook ads, your webinars, your courses, your offers, and stop being the expert inside of the marketing.
Nice. That's easier said than done, but I'll give him my shot.
It is.
That is, as I answer Victor's question. So we help visionary entrepreneurs, meaning people who are making great impact, could be on a local community or global impact, with the sustainable revenue growth for their business. That's key. If somebody wants quick growth, viral growth, it's going to go up and then down as fast as it went up. And that's not going to help a visionary scale their capacity to lead both the market and the team that's going to be required. And so we're there to help them learn how to delegate responsibly. And that's also, thank you to the E-Myth, right? He talks about delegation by abdication, giving people the jobs you don't want to do and just kind of forsaking it. The problem is, if you get somebody who sucks at it, you're not going to move forward. If you get somebody who's great at it and they don't feel appreciated, your operation is going to fall apart because you didn't build a system and a procedure around those areas. And so I don't want to call it grinding out, but it's so important for visionaries to become wise stewards over what they do. And that's ultimately what we want to empower them to be able to focus on is bringing in the right people to help them scale the right way.
And become a leader to empower others.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Way. So visionaries, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Victor, thank you so much for
this has been
being
fun,
on
man.
here, bringing perspective. If you guys want to reach out to Victor, you can find him. I found him on Facebook. I'm sure you can find him on LinkedIn and elsewhere as well. Where do you prefer to be contacted, Victor?
Folks would be able to find me on LinkedIn, Victor Garcia, but you could also go to 8-Figure Empires, 8 spelt out, and it talks about what we do. And if you're a good human, then we can chat.
That sounds great. Awesome, man. Well, Vision Pros, have an excellent rest of your week. Until next time, everybody, take care.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention.